What up, y'all? It's Alex with Response. Thanks for tuning in. As you may have heard, Florian Schneider, who's one of the founders of Kraftwerk, passed away last month in April. And I decided in response to that to do a tutorial breakdown on We Are the Robots by Kraftwerk. This is their most popular song, and it's pretty cool. And if you liked the Britney Spears or Lady Gaga video, it's interesting because you're going to see some commonalities in this track with those tracks. So I hope you enjoy it. Hope everyone's staying safe. As always, there's a link to Direct Relief in the description. Also, I'd like to say thank you. The first track, Response, has probably hit 1,000 plays by now on Spotify. So check it out if you haven't yet. There's a link for that in the description as well. I really appreciate everyone who's been listening and watching these videos. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And as always, subscribe if you like it, comment for future videos of what you'd like to hear. And let's go ahead and do this thing. We are the robots. First things first, we're going to have this weird little intro that it starts off with. So I'm going to map out all the instruments that I can hear, and I'm going to make a quick interpretation of what the notes are, because basically if you're watching this video, hopefully you can see this arrangement and it can just teach you some things about your own arrangements. We're going to see how this song stays interesting, how they develop it through the instrumentation, through the order, all that good stuff. So yeah, hopefully you get something out of this. So all right, let's start with the intro. Okay, so we immediately have this little, I'm going to write intro synth, and it's making like a dwoop sound, so we'll put dwoop, dwoop. There we go. And yeah, as you're following along, you can do the same as me, or you can just watch, it's up to you. And I don't know the exact note that's being played, but I'm just going to listen for the notes, so I'm just going to like map out something that will serve as a representation. So if you're wondering how I'm doing this, don't worry too much. I'm just kind of guessing because I have an ear for it. And yeah, so don't worry. Here we go. All right. And then we have a bunch of noises here. And then it's going to repeat. So honestly, I don't think these synths return. If we wanted to, we could break down, like this sounds like a different synth sound. This long one here. So whatever, let's just map it out real quick, I guess. Whoops, missed that one. All right. So then we hear a little like squiggly one here. It's probably just one note with something called an LFO on it, which just makes that cool thing happen. So I'll just write intro synth 2, intro synth 3, intro synth 4. And that's basically what you got going on. It's some to give you a little representation. I guess there's another one here. Here we go. Cool. So you get the idea. Now, I know they were doing this old school because this track came out in 1978, so I don't know how they did this. I just don't know my history that well, but yeah, I'm gonna guess they may have recorded these all at different times, but I don't know. Maybe they did it all at the same time. If you know, comment below and inform us. Cool. So we're gonna have this thing happen, then we're gonna repeat that. Then we're gonna have the intro happen again. Cool, so now we're getting into the beef of the situation. Real quick, so this thing here just kind of serves as an intro. It's, you know, I think they're trying to be all, hey, we're robots, we're in outer space, we're crazy. I guess especially at the time, this intro may have been like pretty mind-blowing. And it is pretty, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's super old school synth sounding. Whatever, I guess they decided that they thought this was going to be just super tight, so they made that. But I get way more interested when we get over here, because this is now where the main shebang is going on. So I'm going to group these all together and just write intro synth. We'll just write intro. And honestly, I think we're going to get to forget about this. I don't think it ever comes back. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So, okay, so I got intro here. And now let's see what happens where we really start to get into the meat of the track. So I'm right-clicking on Ableton, by the way. So I'll write intro here. I'll change this to this color. And now we got our first like A section. Cool. So we got this sweet bass line. So I'm going to write bass line. And I'm going to map out more or less what it's doing. Okay, it was something like that. It's probably, again, I don't know if these are the exact notes, but that's not what's important. Something like that. And again, if you're wondering how the hell did I do that, I just I can tell it's going down, like up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm just kind of mapping out a general shape of what it looks like. The bass line is 2 bars long, and then it copies. And if you want to take note of it, the ending on this bass line is a little different than the ending on this one. For example, just listen again. So it sounds like they're messing with the cutoff filter. So the cutoff filter, as you probably know, oh, my synthesizers are messing up. So the cutoff filter is this thing, this frequency knob, which shows which frequencies you can let out on a synth. So basically when you have it pulled back, you get a sound like this. And when you open it, so sounds like they're messing with that knob on their synthesizer. That whip, 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 whip. But cool. All right, so let's see what happens now. Okay, so we had 4 bars with just the bass line. And this is a really important 4 bars because this bass line really holds the entire track together. So this 4 bars is key in the sense that it sets the tone for the rest of the track. It sets the groove down because we're going to be working with this bass line for basically the rest of the song. So, okay, now we have some drums come in. Cool. So right away I can hear a kick. And it sounds like they're probably using something called the Lindrum kick. A Lindrum was an old drum machine. It's in Ableton as LD. Hear it there. Basically, I'm almost positive that's a Lindrum kick. I mean, it sounds just like it. So if you're curious and you want to, if you're like copying this and you want it to sound exactly the same, pull up a Lindrum kick. But yeah, I'm just going to draw in quick MIDI notes. So here we go. Cool, so it's a really simple kick pattern. It's just this right here. Here we go. Cool, and then we have a sort of, it's not a clap, but it's something that's sitting on the 2 and the 4. If you're wondering what the 2 and the 4 is, here's 1 bar, and in a bar you can count to 4 with the tempo. So we got this here. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So remember I said 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means this is the 4 and this is the 2. Look, 15.2, 15.4. This is bar 15. Oftentimes when claps or snares occur, it happens on the 2 and 4. You may have heard someone say boots in cats. Whenever they say cats, that's the 2 and the 4. So let's map that out real quick. It's basically just this. Okay. It's important to note that if you're a producer and you often are putting in snares or claps here, feel free to put in a sound that's not a snare or a clap. Like they're doing some weird space sound, which I think contributes to their whole vibe of coming off as these like robotic human things or whatever. Okay, so as we can see, this song so far is very additive. By that I mean we start off with one element, which is the bass line. Then 4 bars later we add our drums, or at least some of our drums, kick in 2/4. And now 4 bars after that we're adding something else. So once this we get right here, you can hear another synth come in. Listen. Okay, so pretty simple. So this is some sort of minor chord. I just know that because minor chords sound sad, and this is just what minor chords sound like. I don't know if this is the exact one, but yeah, that's what it is. And we'll just say a minor chord sweep. I say sweep because it's slowly opening up in its frequency. So by that I mean the same thing I did earlier, where when you have a synthesizer and you're messing with its frequency knob, it's the same thing that's happening. So okay, so far this track is keeping our interest by just adding elements at a time. And so check it out, it's gonna keep doing that. So let's listen for these next 4 bars. Cool, now we got a melody coming in, and the chord is repeating itself. So let's see here. Again, I'm just going to map that melody out real quick. Melody 1. It's kind of melody 2 because the bass line's also a melody, but whatever. We're just going to ignore that for now. Whoops. Okay, let's try that. Cool, so that's something like what the melody is. Cool, now let's see what happens on the next 4. Cool, so now instead of simply just adding something new, we're going to do something a little different to keep it interesting here. So at this point, we've just been adding one thing at a time to keep it interesting. And now we're actually going to drop out this melody and minor chord sweep. And instead, we're going to play a different melodic piece. So listen for that. You'll notice the vocals are coming in here, which again is after 4 bars of here. So we're doing a lot of changes that are based on 4 bars, just if you're curious. So let's draw out this new melody. I'll write melody 2. So it sounds like they're just playing 2 notes, and the thing that's keeping it interesting is, once again, they're doing this something with the filter, this frequency knob. That seems to be what's keeping something interesting here. But yeah, so it sounds like that melody's going to keep going. Then let's hear what happens after this 4 bars. You're charging our battery, and now we are full of energy. So now I have the vocal line. This is a verse though, this isn't the chorus yet, so I'm just going to write vocal verse. So let's just see what's happening there. Cool, so very simple melody here. Cool, that's really simple, and as you can hear, we still have this melody 2 thing in the background going on. So now let's see where we go. Okay, so we had a big change here. So the bass line drops lower, so now our key is changing. So it's going lower. Here's where we get the big hook. We are the robots. Vocal chorus. So he's just saying we are the robots. Pretty straightforward. I guess that's what they are. We are the robots. We are the robots. Okay, so very simple. We do have that minor chord sweep coming back. It is a different chord than earlier. But I'm going to keep it on the same track because it's the exact same function. So that's another minor chord sweep. So okay. We also have a synth that's doing this little do, 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 do. Let's listen for that. We are the robots. And that sounds like this. So interesting how, just like in the, if you watch the Britney Spears and Lady Gaga video, you'll notice that there's the same melodic structures being repeated often. And it's just interesting how this is Kraftwerk, something all the techno people worship, but there's so many similarities in song construction with something like this and something like Max Martin working with Britney Spears. So yeah, with that said, hear this melodic line. And now listen for here. They're really, really, really similar. They're just in different keys. And so, yeah, I guess I'll make a new track for that. I'll write chorus twinkle melody, because it's a little twinkle. I could have maybe put it in here, but I'm not, so okay. We are the robots. Pretty simple. All right. We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots. So now we're doing the same thing. We're dropping the bass line down again. We're dropping the notes down in the chorus and the vocals. Then we're also going to drop the twinkle down. We are the robots. We are the robots. Cool. So that's the chorus. I mean, how simple is that? That's kind of crazy. Especially, again, I just want to point out, if you've been watching the past videos, and you should check them out, some of the modern pop stuff is so complicated compared to this. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that makes this better or worse. I'm just saying that if you're like obsessed with Kraftwerk, but you're like hating on Max Martin or some pop stuff, I mean, I don't know. Some of that pop music of like the 2000s and that's still happening now is extremely musical. This is a cool track, don't get me wrong, but it's super simple. So you can't be hating on things for being simple. All right. End rant. So here's chorus 1. I'm going to just start labeling stuff. As you can see, I went ahead and changed this all to be one color. I'm going to put this as like one big verse. So this is kind of like a... Actually, let's think of this as the A section. And then we'll think of this as the B section. But it's like basically the chorus. Okay. So... Okay, interesting to note how, again, because if you're a producer and you're trying to figure out how to make your tracks more interesting and how to make them have a flow and a structure, notice in the A section, the way we keep interest is by adding things. We add the drums, we add the chords, we add a melody, we add another melody. But then we get to the B section, first off, we get to the B section by dropping the bass line down, which is a really big change because I forgot to copy this stuff over, which is just a really big change because, you know, the bass line is really the crux of this whole song. So when that changes, that's just the listener has to really adjust to that. And since it's such a dramatic change, that signals to our brain, oh, we're in a whole new section now. We're in a B section. And it's interesting enough because within the B section, we drop one more time, which just adds more dynamics and fluidity to the B section. So, okay, with all that said, let me organize this real quick. I'm going to get this organized by having these will be drums. The drums will be white. And then I guess I'll make all the melodic components. We'll make them this light green color. That's nice. Okay. So now let's see where we go.
We are the robots.
Okay, so it looks like we're going back to the A section here. And we're going to do that by revisiting this exact section from earlier. Cool. Okay, so now we're getting back into that vocal melody thing.
And we are dancing mechanic. We are the robots.
All right, now we're quickly back to the chorus. That was really fast. We went back to the verse just for 8 bars, and then we dropped back to the chorus again. So, all right, let's take note of that.
We are the robots.
And notice the chorus here is the exact same as the chorus here. I think the instrumentation is exactly the same. Let's listen real quickly.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
So this is interesting because if you watch the Lady Gaga and the Britney Spears video, you'll remember that usually when we double the chorus, we're usually adding some more stuff to keep it interesting. But they did not do that. They kept it exactly the same as the last chorus. So just interesting to note.
We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So I'm just going to label this real quick. B section 2. All right, so now we're getting into a C section. So this is going to be totally different. Interesting. It's actually... Here, let's just listen to it real quick.
Я твой слуга, я твой работник. Я твой слуга, я твой работник.
Okay, so I totally lied earlier when I said the intro wasn't coming back, because the intro is back, and that's what's making up the C section. Let's change this to C section. And there are some differences, but we'll get to that. Let's hear it. So first off, it sounds like we're instantly getting this droning note. Cool. So it's basically the note is a little different here. I think this beginning note is different than the one at the very beginning of the track. Yeah, so it's basically the same except for this note is now lower. The other difference is we're going to get a vocal line in this section, which we obviously did not have at the intro. Something like that. Okay, cool. So this C section here is very prominent. Then once we get here, it sounds like, once we get to the B section, it sounds like we're like going back to normal. But not exactly, because even though the bass lines returned back to that groove we had from earlier, the note is different. It's staying in the same key as this section. And so because of that, I'm going to keep calling this part the C section. because it's in a different key than the A section, and it's kind of building off of this part, which is the C section. So I'm going to keep everything else calling the C section. So let's just listen to it for a bit. Cool, so it gets back to the A section here. But while we're here, let's go ahead and map it out. And I'm actually going to change this color from white to, let's do this bluish color, because we already have the drums being white. All right. I'll change this to that bluish color as well, because this is now a sort of a C section. This needs to be green. This is our A section too. Okay. Cool. All right, so let's see what's going on in this this C section.
We are the robots. Your toys.
Okay.
We are the
So this is even lower than the B section. But we have that little dinky little melody playing again. So it's actually, yeah, now that I think about it, we also have a minor chord playing again. So the C section is very similar to what we've had earlier. A minor chord sweep, this dinky melody, the same bass line from the A section. We're basically just in a different key. That's the real difference here. Compare that to this. Interesting, right? They're basically the same thing, but because it's in a different key, it feels like an entirely new section. So that's just cool to take note of. So now we're going to go back to the A section, specifically this part.
we are programmed just to do.
Okay, so we got this vocal verse. So we're just straight up repeating this section basically. And note, it's interesting because we've already repeated it once here. I'm referring to this A section, this part of the A section. So we've repeated this part of the A section here already. And remember, we didn't add anything new here. We just kept it rolling. And here, same thing. I don't think we're adding anything new. Let's double check that.
We are programmed just to do anything you want us to. We are
Cool, yeah. So again, it's just interesting to point out that if this was a modern pop song, they probably would have added something here, but they didn't, and that's fine. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I like this track. It's cool. I bet at the time that it came out, it was mind-blowing, but I do find it it's not the most interesting track ever compared to like what we're hearing now, in my opinion. I know I'm ignoring history, and I'm guessing that's part of the beauty of this track, is that its historical significance. It's still cool, and we're gonna keep it moving.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
All right, so we kind of have the chorus happening again. So let's do that.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
Oh, there's our vocal chorus.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
Now we're returning once again to this A section. We keep doing that. All right.
We're functioning automatic, and we are dancing incarnate. We are the robots. We are the robots.
All right, right, so we're going to do the chorus again. Real quick, let me map all this out. So here we hit the A section 3. Here we're hitting B section. This is B section 3, I think. Yep. Then A section 4. And then B section 4. Now let's see where we go. Okay, it sounds like we were at the C section again. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the exact same as this C section, just based on the way they've been composing the song thus far. I could be wrong. Let's see.
Я твой слуга, я твой работник. Я твой слуга, я твой работник.
Okay, it's getting a little different. Because, so the first part is the same, the first part of the C section is the same. But the second part's different. So in the first time to the C section, we got this minor chord sweep with the melody. But this time, we're not getting the minor chord sweep, and we're getting a variation of this melody 2 thing happening. So listen for that. I think this is going to be lower. There you go. So that's pretty cool. There's a big difference. This is something you would expect to see in a more modern song, usually, like a change here. Now this is going up higher. This top note, I can just hear it. Sounds like they might be playing chords or something, because the note's getting higher again here. Again, I don't know exactly what it is, but again, we have that filter opening up. You can note that if you want. I guess that's cool to note, because the filter opening plus the addition of these notes and the changing of these notes that's happening here. That's just cool how this one melody is keeping an upward movement within this whole passage. Cool, now we're back to the A section. We're back to the "We Are the Robots." So I can't believe I didn't point this out yet, but this A section melody, notice how similar it is to the chorus melody.
We are the robots.
It's so similar, which again makes sense because this is such a catchy song, and as you've seen in other videos, or if not, catchy songs tend to repeat melodic things in many different ways. So that's why you hear the synth playing a melody that the vocals then basically copy, more or less.
We are the robots.
See, do 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 do. Exactly, right? So let's see where we're at. So we're back to the A section. And it's basically the same A section of this part here, except that the chord that's opening up is a little bit higher. So I'm just going to take these bottom 2 notes, I guess, and pitch them up an octave. So the chord's the same, but now it's just voiced in a higher way. If you don't know what that means, just comment below and I'll let you know. I just don't want to talk about it because it might take a second. So yeah, just listen for the chord here. And then listen to it here. It's lower there and it's higher here. Here it's whoo. Here it's whoo. Cool. So now we got We got that, and let's see what else we got.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
So now we have the chorus vocals coming in on the A section instrumental, which is interesting. So this is kind of like a hybrid between the two.
We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the
Oh, now we're dropping it down again.
robot. We are the robot.
So we're dropping it down to where the C section was, so it's getting a little confusing. Let me think of a good way to put this. So I said we were in an A section at the beginning of this, but then once we get here,
We are the robots.
we're still in an A section, but now we have the chorus vocals playing. So I'm going to still call this the A section, but it's sort of a chorus. It's tough because the vocals are in now, but whatever. And then this part,
We are the robots. We
all right.
are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots.
So now we're kind of turning the A section into a new chorus. So I'm going to go ahead and call this chorus at the end of the day. Reason being is because, yeah, this first section is basically just the A section with the chorus vocals,
We are the robots.
because the bass line's the same key as it was in the A section, the chords in the same key as the A section, the instrumental's the same, but the fact that the vocal's here and the fact that it's now dropping down here
We are the robots.
means that overall its shape is very much like the past B sections, where you would have 4 bars of something, then 4 bars of that same thing dropping. For example,
We are the robots. We are the robots.
so since that overall shape is still the same, I'm going to go ahead and call this a B section.
We are the robots. We are the robots.
But just note that it's like a different B section. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. That's something that, you know, maybe if you have an instrumental in the future that you're making, maybe you can try throwing your B section's melody into the A section and maybe it'll still work. That's kind of what happened here. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's make our adjustments.
We are the robots.
And again, if you're getting lost, don't worry about it. You can always rewind. You can always slow it down. We're almost done.
We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots.
So now it's repeating again.
We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots. We are the robots.
We're repeating again.
We are the robots. 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 We are the robots.
Cool. So now it's basically just fading out. I like this because at this point you can tell that they know that this whole "We Are the Robots" line is like the coolest thing ever. So they're just gonna keep saying it and keep saying it until the song fades out, because they're just like, yo, this line is hot. This is the coolest thing ever. Let's just hit them with this "We Are the Robots" thing. It's gonna blow their frickin' minds. And this is pretty similar to in Bad Romance, or in 3, I think the same thing. Oftentimes the last chorus, they'll have it be double the length of the normal one, and they'll just bang it on home for you. So just check out those other videos if you want to know a little more what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm just going to finish mapping this out, and we'll do a quick recap. Let's see here. C section, and this is it's kind of the third C section if we're going to call the intro C section 1. And then we got A section, A section 5. And then chorus 5. All right. So, let's stick to my V's. So there you have it. That's a general outline of this song. So we got our intro, which is our C section 1. Then we have A section 1. So it goes C, A, B, A, B, C, A, B, A, B, C, A, B. Slow that down if you want to write it down if you're curious. But yeah, there's the track. That's kind of cool. There's We Are the Robots. Yeah, I wanted to point out, if you're into LCD Sound System, they actually use this bass line in one of their tracks. Let me find it. It's they use it in this song, which is the opening to their album. And Get Innocuous, they use the same bass line. So it's actually not the exact same bass line, but it's very much inspired by that bass line. But yeah, pretty cool, right? So that's it, y'all. Thanks again for watching. And as always, please check out our other content on the Response channel. We've been releasing Mixios, which is a mix plus a video every week. We have another one coming on Thursday. The last one, I was making a spinach risotto. It's vegan and playing a lot of ambient music. So we're probably going to do ambient again this time. I really liked doing that. And so yeah, if you want to hear some cool ambient music on Thursday, check that out. Check out the Response track by myself. Donate to Direct Relief if you can. And with that said, y'all have a good day. Stay safe. Have a good night if it's night. And adios.
We are the robots.